Hello and welcome. Steve Mills here. It's great to be here again on another live stream. Do these now 3 times a week, part of my 31-year mission to try and help as many small businesses as I can to overcome that major problem that they go bust within 5 years. And that's 80%. That's not what I say, that's what the government says. 80% of small businesses that start go bust within 5 years. And clearly there are many reasons for that, but one of which is lack of sales. If you've got enough sales, you can overcome most of the other problems. Poor bookkeeping, cash flows not working, people that you're hiring are not doing the job that you said, and so on and so forth. So, if you can overcome that, then you're certainly in the top percent of people. So that's what this is all about. That's what I've spent many years doing. I've worked with over 10,000 businesses, helping them to achieve an average of 45% growth within 12 months. Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm not talking about the Vodafones and the Nikes of this world where I've made them, 10 billion pounds. That's not my market. That's not what I do. I'm talking about small businesses. I'm talking about startups even. I help go from 0 to 100 grand in 12 months. And that's what I love doing. So welcome. Thank you for your time in being here. Thank you for your faith in being here, because we're going to spend a few minutes, not long. We're going to be here about, 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. And what I'm going to try and do is to help you as much as I can during that time. I want to be clear. This is not a pitch, right? This is me genuinely helping you and hoping that you believe at the end of it, I could help you further. And if I can, then you can free to set up a meeting to talk about, what we could do together to help you to grow your business. So, either way is fine. And I look forward to talking to you. I just put this up on the screen, if I may, Q&A. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. You're very welcome to. Just put them in the chat and I'll deal with them at the end. So thanks ever so much. Right, let's make a start then. The first thing I want to say really is that one of the big problems that I see is what I call marketing butterflies. These are people who flitter from one thing to another. They try networking, that doesn't work. They go and set up Google ads, that doesn't work. They have a website, which is pretty much there all the time, but they don't actually do anything with it. They just hope that somebody will come to their website, stumble across it, if you will, and then want to give them money. And as we all know, hope is not a strategy. So we've got to be better than that. They'll try email marketing and that doesn't work either, and so on and so forth. But I'm here to tell you that all marketing works. Everything, every single thing that you could do, from door knocking to sophisticated digital AI based marketing, it all works. The problem with it is it doesn't work all the time. And the first thing we need to examine is why. Why isn't your marketing working as well as the marketing of a company down the road? Well, there could be two reasons, really. One, you're not doing it, or you're not doing enough of it. That's a really big one. You're not picking up the phone often enough and talking to people. It could be that what you're doing is too small a group. Let me give you an example. People often tell me that they've got 800 contacts on LinkedIn, 1,000, 2,000, something like that. And then when I ask them what their target market is, they might say, oh, small businesses in the UK. Now, there are about 3 million of those, and you've got 2,000 people you're connected to on LinkedIn. You can already see the problem, can't you? And that problem is what I call obscurity. Nobody knows about you. And whilst people will tell you that, it's about, you don't need the 3 million clearly, but, you do need maybe more than 2,000. And, if you could grow your business from, sorry, not grow your business, grow your list, the people on your email list, your social media list, and so on. If you could grow that by double, so instead of having 2,000 LinkedIn contacts, you had 4, potentially you could double the amount of business you're already winning on LinkedIn. That's assuming you are winning business on LinkedIn, which, let's face it, most people don't. So if that's the case, it's either a lack of action, a lack of having a big enough database. But the third one, and this is the one I really want to talk about today, is doing it the wrong way. You can do marketing and you can get no leads. You can almost do anything and get no leads. You can do SEO and get no leads. You can do Google ads and get no leads. You can do email marketing and get no leads. It can be done. I've done it myself in the past. Having said that, what you probably get is some leads. It goes, if you take the average, what sort of results do average businesses get? Well, they don't even actually get average results. Because if they did, this, but we know 8 out of 10 go bust. So most marketing probably doesn't work, or it doesn't work very well. So what have we got to do then? What can you do to improve the effectiveness of your marketing? Well, excuse me. Well, I'm going to tell you, the first thing you can do is you can work on your headlines. Yeah, that's right. The headlines that you're using. There's an old saying in advertising that the headline is the advert for the advert. Now, in the modern digital world, or in the modern marketing world, if you will, the headline is the headline for the website. It's the headline for the social media post. It's the headline for the email marketing, for the advert, for actually what you say when you stand up at a networking event, or somebody says to you, "What do you do, Steve?" That's the headline. It's the first thing that you're going to say. It's the first impression of you, the first impression that you get when you meet someone, the first thing you say on a video. These things are what really matter, because it doesn't matter what I say at the end of this video. If you found it boring, not interesting, not relevant, and so on, probably not going to get to the end of the video, are you? You're going to watch it for a couple of minutes and think, well, this is not very good. Let's move on. So, we need to make sure that our headlines are as good as they can be. Now, I can tell you several stories about how I've helped people improve headlines. I'm going to tell you one really quickly, but I've got many, many versions of this. I worked with a company who sold a very expensive piece of equipment costing £2 million. And they'd been advertising on the back of a glossy magazine. And they'd spent £2,000 a month for 6 months, so 12 grand, and it produced 0 leads. Why? Because their headline was the name of the company. The agency that they'd worked with told them they wanted to create brand awareness. They wanted to get their company known. The problem is that nobody knew them. So the headline, the most important part of it, was something that wasn't of interest. If it had been Nike or Apple, there might have been some interest there because they know it's an Apple advert, and what of Apple advertising right now, because they're known all over the world, people are going to look. But the name of this company, nobody knew. So I changed that. I changed the headline for them. It took me about 10 minutes to work out. And what the new headline was local authorities save 30 to 50% on recycling costs, because that's what that machine that they sold did. It saved local authorities 30 to 50% on recycling. Now, recycling for local authorities is a multi-million pound task, as you can imagine. And they spend, dependent on the size of the local authority, probably at least 10 million a year recycling. And this equipment lasted round about 10 years. So you've got 10 million pounds times 10 years times 40% savings. So you can see this equipment's worth a bob or two. It cost 2.5 million. That next month, they got 5 leads and 2 sales. 2 sales of 2.5 million. They made 5 million pounds, and it took me 10 minutes to improve their headline. And that's so, I hope it's inspiring, because that's true. It works. So, if you've got a headline on your website called About Us, can't you think of anything more interesting than that? Or Our Services? I mean, that's about as boring as it could possibly be. So, look at your headlines. What does it say at the top of your homepage on your website? Is that as inspiring, motivating, thought-provoking as could be? So take a look at that. Then take a look at what it says on your banner on LinkedIn and your banner on Facebook, and what you say on your emails when you send those out, what you say on your social media posts, and so on and so forth. So this is a way, I mean, this is what I call marketing without money. It doesn't cost anything. This is free. This is how to get more out of what you've already got. All you need to do is to work on that. And I've been doing this now for, as I said, 31 years, with over 10,000 businesses, helping them to make an average of 45% growth. Now, obviously, it's not just about changing headlines. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting is that it's about looking at each single element of your marketing and working out how that could be better. It's a little bit like, I think I got this from, I don't know whether you know my background, but many years ago, I used to play table tennis at international level. I was a full-time professional table tennis player. Played in the German Bundesliga and the British National League, and so on and so forth. So in that time, you get to know that you have to work on your game. In table tennis, you've got to work on your forehand, your backhand, your footwork, your touch, your serve, your return of serve, your power, your speed, your reactions, your stamina, your flexibility, your hand-eye coordination, to name just a few. Okay, so if that's the case in a sport like table tennis, then what's the business version of that? Well, if you took a web page, I'd say it's your headline, it's your pictures, it's the words you've got on there, it's your subheads, it's your testimonials, it's your video that's on the page, because video can improve performance by around about 20 to 30%, 20% uplift in the number of leads that you get by adding a video. It's your call to action, your CTA. Where are the CTAs on your website? The chances are you haven't got any. Or if you have, they're not very many of them. Or occasionally they're like just covered in CTAs. And also the other chances are they're right down the bottom of the page where nobody ever reads. What's that about? So we've got to have some calls to action. We should have something on our website that makes people sign up to something. Perhaps you've got a free giveaway, and perhaps you've got, for example, on my website, if you go to my website, you'll find free reports, you'll find free videos, you'll find a blog post full of great ideas, you'll find an online marketing plan that I give away free, you'll find a training program full of great ideas and ways to grow your business. You'll find a program which is a 12 video based program called How to Grow Your Business by 45% within 12 months. Now, if you don't do anything as a result of this, that's the one thing you should do. And by the way, all that is free. I'm not selling anything here. That is free for you to go and look at and enjoy. And more importantly, what I hope you do is that you take action. That's what's going to get results. Picking up that phone, that's what's going to get results. Not doing stuff that is not related to growing your business. You need to allocate an amount of time, because I'm too busy. And what happens is they get busy, they do some marketing, get busy, then eventually they lose those customers, or the project finishes, and then they think, oh, I better do some more marketing. And they do some more marketing, and they get busy again, and then they stop marketing. And it's just an ongoing crazy way of trying to grow a business. You need to be marketing all the time, constantly. So go and look at your headlines, look at your subheads, look at the words, look at the testimonials. My mom always taught me that it's more important what other people say about you than what you say about yourself. Now, if you go to my website, you'll find over 150 testimonials, not all on one page, but scattered. I've got what I call normal testimonials, which are the written ones. I've got video testimonials, which are arguably more believable because it's somebody actually speaking. All this stuff is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Now, that doesn't only apply to your website, obviously. You look at your email and you go, right, okay, headline, words, subhead, testimonials, call to action. You should never do an email without at least 3 or 4 different links to get people to go somewhere. Why? 2 reasons. One, when they go somewhere, and I'm thinking mainly your website, but it could equally be your LinkedIn profile or your YouTube channel, or your podcast or something like that, but you want them to go somewhere. And reason number one is that they go to, let's say, for example, to your website, and while they're there looking at whatever it was you sent them to, people being people, they're going to have a nosy round. Oh, right. Oh, Steve's website's nice. Let's have a look at this. Oh, I didn't realize he did that as well. Let's go and have a look over there. And that's what you want. You want to build this reputation. But number 2, the second most important thing is, if you're using the technology that's available right now, you can then see who's clicked. So, for example, if I send out an email, and on the email it says, if you'd like a free, no obligation meeting and want to find out more about how Steve can help you, then click this link. And I send that out to my database, and let's say 120 people click on the link and go to the page where there's more about me and a link to book a meeting. What do? Well, I get to know who's clicked, the names, the telephone numbers, the email address of exactly who's clicked on that link. I can then follow it up. I can follow it up by another email that just goes out to the people who are interested. Or I can pick up the phone and go, hi, Steve Mills here. We sent you an email earlier, and we know with the technology that we've got that you clicked on a link saying that you wanted to find out more about Steve and how he can help you. So I thought I'd just be proactive and give you a call. Tell me, how's business? And off we go. This is not a cold call. This is a lukewarm call, as I call it, And if I can then convert 40% of those into meetings, and I can convert 60% of those into sales, then, as they say in Yorkshire, jobs are good. Yeah. So, all these things make a difference. Nothing is insignificant, from the way you look on LinkedIn to how good your website is, to each and every element of your marketing makes a massive difference to your business. So thanks ever so much for listening. If you do want to book a meeting with me, then what I'd suggest is getting in touch. Go to my website, which is results-mastery.com. That's results-mastery.com. click on one of the gold buttons and get yourself booked into a meeting with me, and we can talk about you, your business, your marketing, and what we can do to try and help you to do even better than you're doing right now. So thank you ever so much for listening, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.